Hi, I'm Vito LaBella, and I'm running for Senate in the 26th District. Today, I'd like to discuss cannabis legalization. Yes, cannabis. I know we've spoken about all of the different criminal laws that were amended between 2019 and 2023, but I wanted to speak specifically about this because it really needs a heck of a lot of attention. I'm also going to include something that is a scourge in the city, the state, and nationally, and that's fentanyl poison. Long before marijuana was legalized, anybody who brought up any concerns about the deleterious effects of marijuana use, well, they were mocked and ridiculed. In fact, my son Dylan, he was in a very fun production, a great production of Reefer Madness, where they go about and they make fun of all the people who said that marijuana use would negatively impact people. Well, on October 4th, the New York Times, not Breitbart or the New York Post, they have this long article that said marijuana use was indeed harmful. So I guess all those individuals who were mocked and ridiculed are owed a bit of an apology, right? And I'm not saying that we're going to criminalize marijuana again. That's not going to happen. Well, the first thing that should happen is that we should stop promoting this as perfectly harmless, right? Like this is the best thing since ice cream. We need to treat marijuana and cannabis as we do treat other things that are legal but dangerous, gambling, alcohol, cigarettes. And we also need, most important, is to teach our kids what responsible use looks like and to educate them on the dangers of buying their marijuana off the street and what really could be a very, very tragic situation. And I'll get to that later. But the reason why that marijuana is so dangerous, we're going to talk about some things we need to do to try to address the marijuana itself or the cannabis itself, as well as what regulations about sale, retail sale, and use, and publicly just walking down the street. So we're going to talk about all those things and what amendments to the original cannabis law we can make as a New York State Senator to this law to try to address some of the impacts, the negative impacts we're seeing both in the use for individuals and for the quality of life for everybody walking around the city and the state. So if you look at the law, the cannabis law itself, and we talks about the potency of the marijuana and the purity of the marijuana and all of the regulations as far as manufacturing, it sounds pretty good. Okay, I mean, as good as it's going to get. But the problem is that most people are now getting their marijuana illegally. Right? They're still getting it off the streets. We have pop-up stores. We have ice cream trucks selling marijuana. You have tables in the middle of our parks. I mean, it's all over the place. And the problem is that the police are really not allowed to enforce criminally the unlawful or unlicensed sale of marijuana. And that's the first thing that needs to be amended, right? The cops need to be the prime enforcement for retail sale of marijuana without a license, okay? And it doesn't have to be too onerous. If you sell marijuana without a license, a certain amount, it's a misdemeanor. If you sell to kids, if you're repeat selling, if you sell huge amounts, it's a felony. And the police need to be able to be the ones that go into the store or confiscate the truck or pick up the card table that they have laid out and voucher the money for arrest evidence, voucher the drugs, and arrest the individuals involved. So the cannabis legislation needs to be amended in two other ways. Recently, an establishment put a license in to open up in Bay Ridge, and the community did not want it, all right? There were protests. I spoke at the community council meeting against it. And what happened is when they passed this law, they allowed towns to opt out, town by town, whether or not they wanted to have retail establishments in their community. Well, for whatever reason, they treating New York City as one giant area that it's legal everywhere. They have some restrictions on it, but community boards need to be able to listen to the members of their community, and they need to decide if a marijuana retail establishment is right for that community. Okay, so that's got to change. We also need to change about public use, okay? You shouldn't be walking down the street smoking a joint or drinking a beer or having a glass of Chardonnay, it should all be a violation in the penal law so police officers can address it. And again, we don't have to be onerous about it. On the local level, the police should be encouraged to issue written warnings to people who smoke marijuana or drink a beer, and then subsequent violations, you see the cop runs a name and you see, well, you were warned twice, you're getting a summons now and you're getting a summons again, and have a gradated fine schedule. They can mail it in on the back, send it in, and if they don't address it, they could eventually be arrested. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about a very, very difficult topic. I'm on the Brooklyn Tech Parent Association executive board, and I'm also a parent-elected representative on the school leadership team. Last year, about 10 months ago, one of our freshman girls, Sasha, lost her life to fentanyl poisoning. Obviously, it devastated her family, and it had a very profound impact on the entire Brooklyn Tech school community. Well, in response this year, in fact, about a week ago, I advocated for a program that is going to try to help our kids navigate the very stressful environment of freshman year in high school. Okay, that would be, executive functioning skills, time management training, as well as a mindfulness training or something similar to get them to address all of this stress and deal with all of the stress in a more healthy manner. But education alone isn't enough. New York State needs to join other deep blue states like Colorado or California and enact a law that criminalizes the sale of fentanyl-laced drugs which cause injury or death to any party. And those drug dealers who cause that injury or death, well, they should face assault first degree or even murder charges. And if you send me to Albany, if you give me that honor, the first law that I'll draft will be Sasha's Law, in honor of a girl who took fentanyl-laced drugs and whose life ended and whose family and friends were devastated. I'm Vito LaBella. Thank you for your time.